Cough it out.
I did.
Did you?
Do, re, mi. I could have been a singer in another life.
Ooh.
Hey, YouTube.
Hey, y'all.
We're back.
Hey.
I am Tanya.
And I'm Shelly.
And we are Capisci Productions. So, we are back with another video for our series for independent filmmakers. This is where we share information, tips, and tricks that we use on our projects to share with you, to help you out. This is mostly for people who are beginning filmmakers or self-taught filmmakers or any filmmakers who just want to know some tips and tricks that we use on our projects.
So, you have made it to production.
Production!
You've done the pre-production, you've done the planning, you've done the hours and nights of making sure that everything should be flawless. Now, you're on set and it's production time.
For production.
So,
production literally is the process of capturing the footage that you need for your story. Pretty much. This is the time where you're on set, the camera's on, you're getting all the things that you need in order to continue to tell your story. So these are our 5 things that we think you need for production. Number 1, you need a shot list.
mm-hmm.
You need a shot list. So the shot list is literally what it sounds like. Shot list. It basically is telling your director, your DP, director of photography, cinematographer, what we're capturing for the day. What are the shots that we're getting for the day? Most major studios will film 1 page per day. They have the budget to do it.
1 page.
1 page of script per day. If you have a larger budget, you may be able to film 2 to 3 pages per day. But as an independent filmmaker, a lot of times you're filming 5 to 8 pages per day.
Because you don't have the time. So
Exactly. So for your shot list, in order to prepare for your shot list, your script, you have to number your scenes. You're numbering your scenes first and foremost so that we know which scene we're working with.
And that's different from the page numbers at
Correct.
the top.
Correct.
So you're numbering each scene, so that's like interior Monica's house. And once you change the location, that's another scene. So that now that's 2. So you're at interior coffee shop, that's 2.
So you're numbering your scenes. And basically when you get to your shot list, when you're filling out, is it a wide shot? Is it a mid shot? You're also telling us what the camera angle is. So if it's a low angle, however you and your DP have discussed those shots, who's the subject in the actual shot, so which characters are in this shot, and then a brief description of what's going on in the scene. So we know, okay, we're at interior coffee shop, using STO, using Single Taken Other, our web series as an example. We have Taryn and Josh who are on their first date. That'll be your short description. And so from that, your DP, your director, you'll sit down with them to decide what angles you want to get, what shots you want to get from close up, wide, whatever it is that you want to do, establishing shots, whatever it is, that's what you're doing for your shot list. So you want to make sure in your shot list is very organized as much as possible. Time is money. You don't want to waste any time when it comes to production, because every day that goes by that it's something that you didn't capture means you have to push it to another day or add an extra day, which means that's more people that you got to pay.
And organizing it helps you when you get to post-production, when it comes to editing. Now, if you are able to pay for an editor, this will also help them no matter what. But even if it is you who has to edit, or somebody you know that you're going to be editing with, it helps to keep keep your shot list concise and organized. But you want to keep it as organized as possible, because I promise it will make a difference when you get to post-production.
Correct. And there's technically we haven't found any like specific way that you have to do your shot list. It just needs to make sense for everybody that's on your crew. So however you want to word or number, whether that's 1, 2, 3, ABC, however it is that you want to organize your shots, you do that the way that you see best fit. But again, it just needs to be organized and everybody needs to understand what's going on. Number 2, you need a production schedule. So along with your shot list, your production schedule is telling us where we are, which location we're at, what kind of props do we need, who's supposed to be here at what times, which scenes are we getting today. You need a schedule to know when you're getting the shots on your shot list. So while you may have, let's say, 20 shots, maybe today you're only getting 5 of them. Your production schedule is dictating what shots you're getting for the day. For us, when we did STO, we shot by location. So for us, we decided, okay, we have this location for this many days, or maybe we only have it for one day. And so we wanted to know how many scenes in our whole entire series, episode 1 through 7, how many shots do we have at this location? Then once we knew that, then we broke down for the production schedule, which days we were getting which shots. So for instance, with Flare, one of the locations, we had that location for 2 weekends. We only filmed on the weekends for STO. So we had it for weekend number 1, weekend number 2. And based on those 2 weekends, we divided up the shots for that location. Your production schedule also, you may use call sheets if that's necessary for you. Call sheets are, again, a sheet of paper that's for the cast and crew to let people know who's supposed to be where. Cast usually use it more so, I think, than the crew. But again, it's to let your character know, for you, your character, principal character number 1, your principal character number 2, you're supposed to be on set by 8:30 a.m., whatever it is. It also has information on
sunset, sundown.
Correct. Time of day, all of that. So it just has basic information to let your cast and crew know where everyone's supposed to be at specific times.
It's just another schedule. Like Tanya said, it's mainly for the actors, but if anybody in crew wants to know, okay, what time is lunch, who's preparing, and like it usually has all those names, informations on the other page. It usually has any contact numbers that you may need, things like that. But it's just another paper to keep you more organized and to keep your cast and crew organized.
Also can detail if you're doing what's called a company move. So if you're at a location at this part of the day in the morning, and then in the evening you guys are all moving, company move to this other location, it has all of that information. It may not be necessary if you have a small cast and crew where you can just text information or call and say, hey, this is what we're doing, emails, whatever the case may be. But again, it's just another piece of keeping yourself organized. For STO, we filmed on weekends. For our short films, we also filmed on weekends. But for our short films, because we were in maybe two locations, we filmed by page. We had one location, then we would just go, what shots are we doing on Saturday? What shots are we doing on Sunday? What shots are we doing in the morning? Which shots are we doing in the evening? That cool thing. So there's a little bit of a difference. But again, for us, each of our short films are about 10 minutes long. So we shot 5 to 8 pages a day. That's kind of what we did for our short films. Half of it was on one day, the other half was on the second day. For STO, which was a larger project for us, we filmed on weekends, but that we filmed by location. So your production schedule is how you can dictate it. One of the other things that's also going to dictate your production schedule, actor availability.
Actor schedules, you will run into every issue when it comes to scheduling your actors, especially if they're not contracted. So once you're a big company, and we hope that for all of you, you'll be able to contract your actors so they'll know that they have to be there. You're paying them, so that is technically their job. Right. When you're independent, like us, like you, your actors probably have also 9 to 5s. Okay, so you have to go around their schedules. They will dictate, let you know. Okay, especially if you have a big cast like we did, it's hard to try and make sure everybody's going to be here at a time. So sometimes we had people come in the morning and they can only stay for a certain time and then had to leave. So I'll say in STO, when we were at the pool hall, our character Shatay, who plays Brittany, she says, I'm good. I'll be right back. She was gone for the day. Yeah. Okay. She was only there for what you saw that we filmed at the pool hall. Then she kind of popped back up. You guys would never know that. But we're sharing all this behind the scenes stuff just so that you know, like, you have to work with what you have. Yeah. You got to work around the people who are able to work with you. So again, your production schedule is going to be how you dictate it to be, based on your cast, based on your crew, based on your location availability, based on your own availability. For us, we also filmed for 8 hours, and then we did 1 hour in the beginning for setup, 1 hour in the end for breakdown. So it also depends on you. If maybe you can only film for a couple hours, or maybe you can film longer. It just depends on all of those things that will work on who, when, where, how
for your production schedule. You dictate how your production schedule goes, especially as an independent filmmaker. So do what you can.
And just remember to over communicate. And just because it sounds like it makes sense in your head, it may not make sense to everybody else. Especially if it's going to be something complicated. You just want to make sure that everybody understands, you guys are all on the same page, because again, time is money. And as an independent person, you probably don't have the money for the time. So we got to make sure everybody understands so we can keep it going.
Got it. All right. So our third takeaway for production is camera, lighting, and sound. So we talked a little bit about this in pre-production, but for actual production, this is the time where everybody needs to be proficient in what we're doing, right?
This is not the time where this is the first time you're turning on the camera and out of the box.
Correct.
Or it's not the first time you should be testing out your lapels.
Yes.
Or testing out anything new. All of that should be done before you get on set.
Yes.
We're here, it's time to work.
Yes.
So when that camera turns on, that means the person that is operating that camera understands what shots are going to be happening right now in this moment. What are we doing? The lighting person understands that I have to light this person's face because I'm going for this amount of this tone or whatever that they may be trying to go for. And sound has to know exactly where is everybody going so that they can follow them so that you can get the best sound. This is not a time to practice now. I really want to stress this because I understand, as we are all indie people, especially if you're watching this, you're most likely indie.
Yes.
We understand that not everybody has the same capabilities, but please, in pre-production, get those things done. Okay.
If you're iron out all of the kinks and whatnot.
Starch it as much as you can. Okay. You have to know what we're doing. Everybody needs to be on board when it gets to production.
Yes. So, camera person, lighting, sound, they need to know what they're doing and how to manage any like hiccups that happen, right? You want somebody who's proficient in their equipment and somebody who also knows how to troubleshoot. For your lighting, you want to make sure that the person that you have lighting knows how to light a room. You want to be able to control the light in the room. So filming outside sometimes can have your footage overexposed because you don't know how bright the sun is going to be that day. You don't know how dull the sun might be that day. But then also filming inside, you don't want to just throw up a light in the room and just use it the way that it's lit. You want the person to know how their bulbs work, how this light, is it shining white? Is it shining yellow? Is it giving off these tones? You don't want to be lazy with your lighting either. You don't want to just throw up a blue and red light and make this purple shade. Like, you want to be able to think about your location and what lighting in locations like that look like. You want somebody who's thinking about making your scene look as real as possible. And go ahead.
And how they affect your actors on the camera.
Yeah.
Because if you have a light that's just shining somewhere, and it's too bright on one actor's face and now everybody else's face is dark, you need to have somebody that understands how to combat that so that lighting looks even, unless you're going for a certain kind of mood, you know, like where it's intentional. But you don't want to just throw up stuff. And also, like Tanya was saying, you have to find somebody that knows how to light all genres of color.
Yeah.
Because as we know, all hues. Because we know dark skin, we absorb color a little bit more, so it's a little bit harder to light us. But that doesn't mean to throw up a light and just, okay, now we can see.
Right.
No, it still needs to make sense. It's still, you want it to be cohesive with your scene.
And then for your audio, you want to know somebody who understands how to operate the equipment. If you're talking into a microphone and you're blowing out the microphone, the person who is operating the equipment needs to know how to adjust. If you're talking too low, I can't hear you. If you're like, they need to be able to tell you from their headphones, from the boom, from the external, they need to be able to tell you how to adjust all these things. You may not have a sound mixer on set who's able to do all these things, but if you got a person who's operating that boom and everything, they need to at least be proficient in what they're doing and making sure that you're capturing the sound. If you have lapels, making sure that it's on the right parts of your actor's clothing so that you don't hear that rustling on the clothes. You just want to have as much as possible for your camera, lighting, and sound, as much control as possible so that when you get to post, there's not so much work to do per se in like fixing the things. Because once we have it filmed, once we wrap production, getting to that whole fix it in post. It's true, you can, but it's obviously better to just get as best the footage as you can through lighting, through sound, through camera, as best you can while you're on set when you're there, than trying to wait till post to try to fix everything.
And if you're indie, it's probably going to be harder for you to go back and refilm something.
Correct.
So just try to, even if it takes a little bit longer, just try to make sure that when it comes to lighting, camera, and sound, those things are as consistent as possible throughout.
Takeaway number 4, prepared actors.
Oof.
Prepared actors. Your story could be great on paper, written well, reads well.
All the things.
But if you have actors who are going to get on set and can't perform or can't portray the very things that are written on the script, your story can fall flat, unfortunately. Also, if your actors aren't prepared, that slows production. So if you have actors who on set who don't know their lines, who are playing around, who, again, you want your set to be fun. You don't want it to be so rigid that we're not enjoying what we're doing, but we also want to all have the mindset we're here for a job, to do a job, to get this thing done. And so you want to make sure that your actors are as prepared as possible.
And watch out for the ad-libbers. Nothing's wrong with the ad-lib. Make it more... make it more real. But you have to have somebody, if they're going to ad-lib, it has to be consistent, because you can't ad-lib the same line a different way every time.
Correct. That's another nightmare in post.
Yes.
If I've said this line 400 different ways, we have no consistency. So things like that also aid in the person's preparation for the role. So you want to utilize rehearsals
as much as possible
before turning on the camera. That could be part of your pre-production phase, getting into production, utilizing rehearsals, doing, even if we can't do full rehearsals. We did a table read for STO, we read through all 7 scripts, everybody.
In one night.
Just so that everybody is on board and on page with what their character is doing and how the story is moving. So that they're not, again, everybody can't know everything, like all of us who are producing and doing the things that are behind the scenes, right? But at the same time, if we have a general idea, if your actors have a general idea of what the story is supposed to be and what their character is doing, that helps in them being prepared. So rehearsals help, table reads help. If you can't do a full rehearsal with everybody, working with your scene partner. Yes. Encourage your actors to call up the person that they're on the scene with over the phone or meet in person to go over our lines, to make sure that we understand what we're doing, to understand we know what we're supposed to be feeling. Shelly's the actor. But when I write stuff on the page, we write together. But I'm just saying, when we write stuff on the page, we want it to come off sad. We want it to come off happy. We want it to come off, I'm angry, whatever that is. And so you want to make sure that your actors have prepared to do those things, prepared to do those emotions, and are prepared to do the subtle things too that don't require any dialogue or whatnot.
You just want to make sure that you really try and vet your actors, let them know that this is serious, and be upfront of what you're asking them to do. So like, if you're going to say that we do require that we do, depending on how long your project is, a couple of rehearsals before we get on set, is that okay with you? You want to have those things already confirmed. It can get hard depending on your actors if you want them to do X, Y, and Z, and they're like, well, I'm not getting paid. So or just keep that in mind.
Same thing with actors' preferences for kissing, for hugging, for touch, like whatever the actor is also comfortable with. You don't want to make anybody get on set and now they are supposed to do some kind of scene that they didn't want to do, whatever that may be. It could be, whether it's an emotion, you have to cry. Well, I can't cry. Whatever it is, like, you just want your actors to be as prepared as possible, making sure that they know what is required of them to be on set. And then also when you're on set, blocking before you turn the camera on, so that we know, blocking just means, okay, we're walking through the scene, right? We're taking our actors, the director will say action, we'll pretend to have action, and we'll say, okay, this is where you should step, this is where you should land, this is where you should sit, this is when you should get up. All of those things will help so that when you turn your camera on to really call action, the actors are prepared to know what to do.
And you're not wasting time figuring it out.
Correct. So our last takeaway is number 5, craft services. Ooh. So we talked about this a little bit in pre-production, in the fact that helping your cast and crew is something that you can use as an incentive to, if you can't pay or do all these things, you want to feed your cast and crew. Craft services is important for production. On film days, on any day, nobody wants to work hungry. You need to have good craft services. You need to pay attention to what are people's diet preferences, because you don't want to have somebody on set who doesn't eat pork or doesn't, is vegetarian or vegan or whatever the preferences are. You don't want to have someone on set who can't eat the food that's being provided.
Correct.
You also want to make sure that you're providing good food.
Good food. Listen, food goes a long way.
It does.
And when actors feel full, they're happier.
Yeah. Think about yourself.
We're all happier when we eat, Even if on your indie set, that's the one takeaway. Like, oh, it was a fun set, but the food,
right?
That's what people say about our sets. We feed the people, okay? But on your set, you want to make sure that you feed your actors.
Pizza, pasta, those kinds of things that tend to be heavier and may not be as nutritious, they usually go a long way. So if that's what you can afford to do, then do that. If you can afford to provide more nutritious meals, then of course provide that. But you want to try to stay away from the things that are going to have you having itis and feeling sleepy, like, okay, now I want to go lay down in the middle of your work day or whatnot.
Right. If you do have to provide those, you want to try and do your harder scenes earlier, and then your lighter scenes aren't maybe so, let's say,
labor intensive.
You want to keep those after you eat. And also, you don't want your actors to eat in their wardrobe. If you can, have them change out, because God forbid they aren't paying attention and they have catch up. It's happened to us, so it may happen to you. So have them, maybe they have something that's covering them, or they just take the clothes off completely and go back into their own clothes and then get back into wardrobe.
Yes.
But either way, feed your cast and crew.
Please have food on set. Have water, have juice, snacks, have coffee, have what you can have, of course, per your budget, but make a good effort in making sure that you have good food, at least decent snacks for your cast and crew, because nobody wants to work 8 to 10 hours out the day and not be provided at least one meal.
We want to make you start with a good practice of feeding everybody, extras, everybody,
all
cast,
levels, yes.
Everybody's the same when you're indie, so please just make sure you feed them well, and then when you get bigger, continue to feed them. Feed everybody, please, because I've been on set where they gave me a bag of chips and a bottle of water. Not even like spring water. It was like mineral water. So
those are our 5 takeaways, 5 things we think that you need for production. Our list isn't fully complete, but we feel like those are top things that you need for production. If there are any things that you think would be added to the list,
let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Remember to like, comment, and share. Also subscribe if you're not already subscribed to us. And go ahead and rewatch STO if you haven't already, Single Take Another, which is on our page, or watch our old films and see if you can see the things that we are talking about.
See if you can see where we've gotten a lot better with lighting, with sound, with camera, those kinds of things. See if you can point those things out. Anyway, we will see you on the next video.
Peace.
You see, I could have been singing.
Okay, you can hold the note.